Hello, good morning everybody. How you guys feeling? Okay, I actually really needed this because I was kind of becoming a little bit tired. So help me wake up, okay? Especially because I'm happy we're talking about one of my favorite topics, maybe one of the less trivial, which is how to build a killer team. You know, when we have a dream, when we have a project, when we have an idea, a company, any kind of venture, then starts maybe the biggest challenge of all, which is execution. And in execution, the real truth is that you don't really know what you're up against, because challenges are going to evolve every day. The more you learn about your market, the more you learn about your solution, the more you learn about the problem you're trying to solve, challenges are going to evolve. The reality is going to change. Budget is going to shift. And you know who is the backbone of all this? The team. You know, in the startup world, there is this big belief that the whole key to a startup is to fail fast. Have you guys heard about that? Fail fast. Fail as fast as you can. Why? Because you have a certain amount of money, and within this time frame, now you have a clock, right, counting downward, right? Very stressful situation. And the goal is to experiment until you nail it, until you find what works. Obviously, it requires much more than having a great vision to have an impact on the world. It requires finding what is the right fit, the right positioning, the right angle to provide what you're trying to provide, right? And that's why everything you try, you need to learn, quickly iterate, and fail fast so that you can get it to the next thing and hopefully find what works. There is one exception to this rule, which is hiring your core team. This is something you just cannot fail at. And honestly, that's quite a lot of pressure. Because when we think about hiring people, this is like a fancy name, but what's really underneath this are many, many challenges. That starts from a very human challenge, which is how do you even are able to judge another person? We have enough problem doing this in our personal life. So try to do it when you're trying to build a team, right? It's always difficult, right? You never really know someone. Someone said, even when you get married to someone for 20 years, you still don't know the person you're with, right? So how do you build a team? Especially, how do you make sure that you succeed doing so? So that's what I want to talk about today. And I want to make it very, very practical. I want to give you tips. I want to give you suggestions. I want to give you best practices. I want to give you tools that you'll be able to take out from this session and use in your day-to-day life, in your next venture, next project, next company, or whatever you try to do that involves more than one person. So with a show of hand, just tell me, I need to know a little bit who I'm talking with. Who has already started a project and created a team around this project? Nice. Who thinks of doing this again? Who thought it was challenging to do so? Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. So just to give you a little bit of background about myself. So I'm 26 years old, so I had my birthday on Sunday. I think you already heard about that. 26. So on Sunday. And I was born in France, moved to Israel when I was 16 years old, finished high school in Israel, learned Hebrew quickly, got to the army, was there for 5 years, and then again, it was like the second time I was faced with the challenge of building teams in the army. Then right after the army, I started a company, a startup called BuildGuard. We raised quite a lot of money, a total of $13 million, which makes you a lot of pressure of, oh my God, I need to hire people, And now we're 22 people, 2 offices, one in Israel, one in Tel Aviv, one in New York. I also started a non-profit called Israel Tech Challenge, also known as Mission Intelligence, where also I had to face the challenge of building teams. And in these various different situation, I've seen that there are these challenges that always exist, and they're based on just dealing with human beings. So I have this presentation. Don't really pay attention to it because it's probably not going to work. I do this like fancy stuff on Prezi. I don't know if you know this, and I've lost my clicker. But anyway, we'll try to use pretty pictures in the background. Okay, I have 2 clickers now. So great. The A-team. This is what we're trying to build. Okay, the only thing you cannot afford to fail at. So the first thing you need to do is go all in. Okay, let's all put ourselves in the mindset of what we're trying to accomplish. Okay, now you're starting a project, starting a company, starting a venture. You need to build a team. Now the hiring, all you think about is executing on your project, right? Building it. You have all the ideas of how it would look like, how the website would be, how the project would be, how we would talk about it to investors, and so forth, right? That's what you think about, and that's what you're supposed to think about. But something you must not forget is that you need to be in the mode of hiring. You need to go all in. It's not a part-time job. It's not a thing you can just relay to someone else. It's something that you have to be personally committed to. And you know what? You're going to have to invest many hours into this. Let everybody know that you're hiring, okay? Finding the right people, and that's true in tech, that's true in NGOs, that's true within a huge organization like the IDF, right? I come from a unit in intelligence, which is the biggest unit in the IDF, thousands of people, right? And also in an organization, you're looking for people. Everybody should know that you're looking for people because you don't know where they're going to come from. So a few things is that just talk about it with everybody, right? I'm telling you now, I'm a company BuildGuard, I'm hiring, okay? So if you know smart people, just send them to me, okay? Talk to everybody you have around you, everybody should know about it, okay? Then publish it everywhere. What, if you're looking for, give me examples of people you could be looking for your teams.
VP of marketing.
VP of marketing? Okay, great. What else? Okay, what else? Fundraiser? Okay, that's tough. Okay. What else? Executive director. Okay, it's also tough. What else? Installation builder. Okay, great. Awesome. So I can tell you that a few of these positions, not a fundraiser, but more in the marketing space, even, you know what? In Israel, I don't know if you know that, but it's extremely difficult to find great designers, web designers. Very difficult. Why? Because in Israel, we're like very like tech, and R&D, and now we're trying to do like consumer stuff, like the pretty stuff that you have in the States, and we don't really have the skills, so there are not many really good, user experience designers and so forth. And I think I found one of the best. You know how I found her? In like monster.com, if you guys know what it is in the US. So we have like all jobs in Israel. It's like one of the less professional, most broad audience. Like generally the kind of people that look for job there are like maybe installation guys they were looking for. But sometimes it works because you need to publish this everywhere. You don't know where they're going to come from. Okay? So tomorrow you're looking for a position, even a VP marketing, even a senior position, put it everywhere. Because you never know who's going to read that, who's going to stumble upon it, a friend's going to tell a friend and so forth. Okay? So everything, Craigslist, everything. And then the important thing you need to do, besides publishing it everywhere, is actually understanding that the marketing you're doing for your own project or for your own company is excellent and important and is going to be the focus for the entire life cycle of the venture. But it's not the only marketing you need to do. You need to market for hiring. You need to do marketing for your own team and your own venture. If you want to attract talents, the definition of talent is that they're always busy, right? If you want to find really good people, they will never be actually looking for a job, right? I'm sure you realize that by now. So the thing you need to do is find ways to attract talents. How do you attract talents? Like, I don't want to turn this conversation into a marketing session, but it is still very important to realize that without putting an emphasis of showing who you are, your spirit, why people should come work for you, it's going to be very difficult getting the right leads. A few examples that were done all over the world to give you some ideas. One One is, you know the company Zappos? Yeah, they do shoes. They were bought by Amazon. This great story. The CEO wrote a book called Delivering Happiness. Really recommended. So these guys at Zappos, you know, they make shoes, right? It's like online. It's really boring, right? I mean, seriously, making shoes. They're not changing the world. They're not like feeding, you know, they're not solving hunger in Africa. Not doing all this stuff. They're making shoes. And you know what? They're amazing. People want to work for them. People are excited about this company. They're not even in a popular location. They're in Vegas. In Vegas, it's not a popular location for work, right? Nobody lives in Vegas. It's like living in Eilat in Israel. So, but what they do is they have an actual channel. When they publish a video on YouTube, almost every week, when they show the cool stuff of the office, they show the spirit, they show the team. And you watch these videos, and you want to work for them. You want to be a part of this team. You don't even care about shoes, but I want to be there, stimulating, challenging. You know, money is only one element of getting people to do things, right? You know what is the, you know this guy called Dan Ariely? Yep. Very famous Israeli, like the rock star in the field of behavioral economics. Basically, finds way, he's at Duke University. He talks about how people are irrational and what really drives people to do things. So besides money, tell me, what is the reason for people to get up in the morning and do their job?
They want to leave something behind them.
Okay, that's good. Leaving something behind them, that's great.
They want to learn and be appreciated.
Yep.
They want to have fun.
Want to be appreciated. They want to have fun. Okay. So challenge. Yep. What else? To attract life partners. No, but that's what you do at ROI, right? That's sorry. Okay, that's good. Anything else?
I think there's the whole flip side, which is fears. Fears of failing.
Fear of failing. Okay. Guys, we forgot the main thing. You almost got there. Meaning. We want meaning in our lives, right? These people, our people even more than others, right? But everybody ultimately wants meaning, right? Sometimes there have been experiments and shown that when you pay someone to do something, they're going to do it less well as if they were doing it for free, for a higher purpose, okay? And that could be anything, right? That could be literally anything. And that's something that is very interesting. So people are looking for meaning, and you need to tap into this, okay? So it's great you have this excellent compensation package, and you have all these treats and perks, and like free lunch card and all this stuff, and cool like Xbox in the office. But really, it's about meaning. This is the deepest link you can do with someone. So back to attracting talents, you need to use all of that, right? Because talents are going to be appealed and attracted to you, most probably not because you have the highest salary, otherwise we wouldn't be here, right? And not because you have the biggest, sexiest company in the world, but sometimes because they have an opportunity to leave a mark, to put meaning to their life, or to be stimulated and challenged, and all these things really matter. Now, how do you push this to the world? How do you market that to the world? So we talked about the Zappos example. Do you guys have other examples?
Google, but not because of the name.
So how do they do it? How do they market that? That they're a cool place to work at. Sorry?
I mean, you're saying that as an example, a company that people generally would work.
Yep. Okay, other examples. Facebook. Okay, how do you do it? What is Facebook most looking for? What is the top position they're trying to hire for? Engineers. Do you know, by the way, how much, I just heard this yesterday, crazy. You know how much referral money you get for bringing someone into a company like LinkedIn? Like you work at LinkedIn, and they give you a prize. The company gives you money for bringing an engineer that they end up hiring. You know how much they give you? They give you 10K. And there are companies that give you 18K. Okay, $18,000 for bringing someone. Okay, so that's how bad they want engineers. And you know what Facebook does, and also a little bit Google, to attract talents? You know how they do it? They'll show you that this whole company, is run by engineers. This is the toughest place for engineers to be. This is a more challenging place. Only the best will survive. But if you're really, really the best, on your first day, you're going to make a change into the website that's going to affect millions of people. As an engineer, I don't even care what Facebook does, honestly. but I want to be there. I want to touch it. I want to be accepted there. I want to be part of this thing, right? So that's the stuff that we need to be thinking about. Other examples. What's the name of the British intelligence agency? GHQ something? Yeah? No, there's another one. Anyway, like the NSA. Well, the British NSA. Doesn't matter. So they're also looking for very smart people. They're looking for hackers, right? Very difficult to find hackers because hackers, you cannot train them. Really, they have to be born with it, right? So, they were on computers instead of, playing soccer. Now, what it did was this massive challenge on the internet where you had this code that you need to crack, and then you had these levels you need to pass, right? And it was really, really tough. And they spent a lot of money, a lot of time building this, right? Now, as an intelligence agency, they don't really have to do marketing, right? You don't have to market yourself as, I'm an intelligence agency, I'm the only one, so, who cares? But to the people they're trying to hire, they need to market themselves, right? And that's what it did, and it was a massive buzz on the internet, and all the hackers were trying to pass through, and they got a lot of leads from that. Okay, that's another example. What we do at BuildGuard, we do these kind of videos. I didn't tell you to put up the sound, so maybe, well, it doesn't matter. We don't care about the video. You can go online and look at videos. We do all kind of, we do hackathon. You guys know what a hackathon is? When you host 20 programmers on weekends that don't really want to have, go out and party. They want to code during the weekend for a purpose. I'm joking as if I'm not doing this, they're also fine. So they all gather, like 20 people. We bring food and we code, all of us, and we do. So they have generally a purpose, like building, apps for peace or all this kind of stuff, right? So we host these kind of things because that brings press and then brings smart people into the room, and they see the office and like, oh my God, this is cool. I want to work here. We do all kind of things like that, and I'll give you more examples after. Is this point clear? Because it's really important. Okay, you're looking for the best people, and this is the way to go. And another reason why it is so relevant to us is because, especially in the world of NGOs or in startups, when you get started and you have no money, then you need to give something else. Okay, and this is it. Basically, it's the only thing you can give them. So, let's see if I click to the next slide. Ooh, nice. All right. Now, we had this wide net, and we got tons of applicants, right? That was our goal before, right? Publish it everywhere, talk to everybody, and attract talent as much as possible. Now, you have 1,000 resumes in your mailbox, okay? Stuff. So now I'm going to show you some very practical tips to filter the noise and pass to the next and get to the next stage. Maybe. Okay. By the way, guys, if you have any question, please feel free. Happy to turn this to a discussion whenever you want. So you need to fire up your email. Okay. So now you're in Gmail. Imagine you have 1,000 emails. Okay. Like your stress level is about this. First thing I suggest you do is get a tool, a plugin to your Gmail called Reportive. You guys hear about it? Okay. It's really good. Install it, and what it will do, it will replace the ads on the side of the screen. Okay, believe me, you won't miss them. And every time you open an email, it will show, the picture of the person sending you the email, as well as his last tweets, Facebook, LinkedIn, and whatever presence that this person has online. Okay, super useful, right? You don't have to Google it. You don't have to. You just see the person. So to give you a few examples, if I'm looking for a social media manager, and this person doesn't have Facebook and no LinkedIn profile, I think I can fairly assume that archiving this email would be fine, right? That's the kind of things you can do. But know who you're dealing with so that you can cut the noise very quickly, even before opening the resumes. By the way, all the things I'm going to talk about right now are pretty harsh. If you ever applied for a job, you're going to hate me, but that's the way it is.
Excuse me.
Yes?
You said if they don't have the LinkedIn account, you already sold them out?
Yeah, especially, I mean, depends for the position, right? But depends on the position. But if I'm applying to be a social media manager, and my entire role is to be on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, and right? And I have no online presence, something's wrong. Okay, and then you start deleting emails, okay? So you filter out stuff like, I don't know if you can see it. You see the first email? What's written in there? Nothing. So this person just applied for the job with their resume. Honestly, I don't even open it. If you don't take 5 minutes to say, hi, I would like to apply for this, at the bare minimum, just it's not worth your time, okay? But if you're looking for a job as well, that could be very helpful. So never do that, okay? Never do that. Then there are other examples that are more tech-related, so I won't spend too much time on it. But stuff like if you're looking for programmers and they tell you that they know how to use Microsoft Office, you're like, come on, let's move on. This one actually really caught my eye. I hope it's not from anyone here. But I was looking for a designer that I was talking about before, and in the resume there was this very nice chart of proficiency based on the app, as you can see. So you have like Photoshop and Illustrator and all kind of design apps, as well as Office apps, Outlook, Word, and all this stuff. I was like, oh, that looks cool. But then I realized, wait a second, how is it this designer knows how to use Outlook as well as knows how to use Photoshop? That sounds weird, okay? These kind of things, by the way, like the more you do it, the more you learn it, the more you become experienced in that, the faster you will go. Like literally, I shouldn't say this, but I have a script that like a software that goes through resumes and it catch like red flags like this. Okay, not like a design thing, but like all kind of keywords that shouldn't be there or should be there. Sorry, I can't say. But anyway, otherwise I'm breaking that thing, right? But it's really like this, and get experience at that because you're gonna have to go through volume. Excellent. Now we've got a shorter list. Okay, so we have thousands of leads. Okay, thousands of leads. We got this down to 100 leads maybe. So now we get it down even more, and then we lock and load. Okay, now starts the part of getting more human in this phase. First thing, listen. You get this guy to an interview, or you did over the phone. First thing you do is listen. Now let me tell you why am I even mentioning this, right? It's obvious I need to listen, right? The reason why I'm doing this is because most of the time we don't listen. And we listen even less when we're under pressure. So let me bring you back to some situation you must have had in your life. You have this project under like this big deadline. You need to close it. You need to get started already. And you're hiring the person to do the job. You can't wait another second to hire someone. Anyone is going to come to you for an interview, you're going to really secretly want him to be the guy, right? So you're not really going to listen, right? It's like when not having a girlfriend for some time, and then every girl is like, oh my God, she's the woman of my life. Is this kind of thing. So don't make him what you want him to be, okay? And actually, like, shut up, listen. It's very tough. By the way, it's even tougher for people like us. You know why? Because when we are striving for a cause, when we are entrepreneurs, innovators, we need to handle maybe the toughest paradox of all, which is nerves of steel against a vision. People will tell you it's crap, people will tell you it won't work, people will tell you it's not relevant, but you have this vision and you want to execute on it. We call it the roller coaster, feeling roller coaster. Right? You wake up in the morning like, I'm going to change the world. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to change everything. And then with all the feedback from every day, from the whole day, investors telling you, no, we're not going to invest. It's interesting, but not really. You like finish the day, shower for 3 hours, just sinking in like all the bad stuff you've been hearing all day. So that's on one hand, you need to be very, very strong with your vision. But on the second hand, you need to be able to listen. Because if you have a vision and you're not able to get feedback, you're never going to succeed. That's a big paradox. So that's why listening is very tough. Think about it, make it happen. 2, truly ask yourself, do you like this person? I'm specifically using the word like, and really we're not talking about a date here. But it's important because you're going to spend a lot of time with this person. And the last thing is simulate. What you want is not only to determine whether this person is smart or very talented. That's only one part of the formula. You need to really see that there is a fit. And to see if there is a fit with the kind of challenges you're facing currently, try to simulate as close as possible to the kind of work that you're going to have to do. So for example, I'm hiring for, we'll keep going with the designer example. So I have this designer, comes into the office, talk to her, she's amazing. Her portfolio, incredible. Never seen that in my life, okay? Then we pass to the next stage. We get to the next stage, and the next stage is a simulation. So we take a task that we would actually have, the kind of task we would have if she were working as part of the team. For example, revamping the website, doing a web page, whatever. And then she has like an hour or two, sometimes you pay it them, sometimes not, doesn't matter. You put her to work to something that is very similar to the environment it would be. So you take time from your product manager, for whoever in the team is going to be working with her, and you put her to work. And sometimes you just realize that she's amazing, but she's very slow. You're like, wait, that doesn't work. I need to run all the time. Maybe it's better for me to take someone that is a little bit less artistic, but a runner, right? And then that's how you really kind of set expectations right and discover and cover all kind of things you would be missing otherwise. Yep.
If you're at a stage where you're really starting up and you're hiring your first team,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not in a position to, or maybe you want to hire a personal assistant, or you want to hire someone who builds things, or it's not in where you can take your product manager and say, flag them in and see how they would give them half a day's work.
Well, for a personal assistant, it's actually very easy, right? You have this, every day we have headaches. Okay, I need to book all these flights, but it's impossible. I want to lay over in this and this and this. And then you give it that. Or you ask a question about even like where we should go eat. And then if she suggests, oh, I'm going to make the reservation at this place, blah, 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 and set everything up. You know, like try to think, if she were working currently with you, what would you give it to do? What would be the toughest task or one of the tough tasks? And try to simulate that, right? One of the things I did for my head of HR, so human resources, so the person in charge of, all the HR stuff, you know about that. Before I hired her, it was like the last step. I thought, look, we need to discuss about the team. I have some concerns. Let's meet for lunch. We do lunch, and then I talk to her as if she's working in the company. Really share with her problems that I would have, that I actually have, and hear her responses. And my question, my only exam at the end of this hour was that helpful? And the answer is yes, then yeah. But I really put her to a test, a real life test of sharing her my problems, the problems of the team, and see if she can have an input that can actually make us move forward. Okay? Now let me add something that I didn't know, that I didn't realize when I wrote these slides. There's one thing that is that I learned after some time that I think is key as well. Make a list before you actually interview anyone. Make a list of what are the must-haves, the things that you cannot do without, and what you don't really have to have. And make it ahead of time. Because when you know the person, when you already met the person, even if you still have a dilemma with this person, you have this human connection and you have all this, there's so much load in a human relationship, even if it's very superficial, that will taint your judgment. But before you meet this person, try to list what are the must-haves. Okay? What are the things you cannot do without? By the way, I think that works even in the outside of hiring teams, if you know what I mean. Yes?
Coming from businesses like yours, you ask for a specific set of skills, and you need to know how well you design or how well you program. But for social entrepreneurs or people that come from different backgrounds, you need things that are a bit different, like ability to work as a team or
excellent question.
Resourcefulness.
Excellent question. First of all, I absolutely disagree with you. I think that all the stuff that you talked about are even more important than skills. I think skills you can teach, talent you cannot, or at least you cannot afford to teach talent. And the most important thing, and maybe to plug this into, I said before, I did this in an NGO, and I did this as a business, and in a military, which is kind of in between. When we're starting something new, when we're trying to innovate, the toughest problem is uncertainty, right? Uncertainty. If we were just executing on a path, getting a tool list of you did this, and you succeed, wouldn't be so interesting of a job. our challenge is to not only execute on the tasks, but build the tool list. So that's why the people you need to be working with, the people on your team, need to be the best team players, need to work together. It's only good to bring in people that are excellent in terms of their skills. You need to build a chemistry that work really well together, right? They need leadership. You need people that can stay afloat even when, you know, things are going really, really bad. We need people that can, you know, throw away a lot of the work because we realize that all this actually wasn't relevant, and we want to do something else now that is probably going to be better. Maybe it's not going to be. It's a very unique kind of people. And about the must-haves and the list, maybe you were referring to this. I'm not talking about only specific skills such as know how to code or to design. Also talking about personality traits. Like on my list, if you want to know what is my must-have for a coder, for example, the must-have number 1 is born to code, meaning passionate. That's the first thing I'm looking for. Not even like what languages you know on this stuff. It matters to me much less. So when you look for, you said VP marketing, or when I was looking for the person to be heading 24/7 the execution of this nonprofit called Israel Tech Challenge, I was looking for someone who didn't need direction. Something that wasn't in the must-have was someone with long-term strategic thinking. I didn't care about that because even if he didn't have that, I thought that I could complement him on this. But it had to be like a guru in execution. And I tried to test that. It's difficult, but it's the must-have. That's the main thing that I needed to do. I need to be able to execute and lead execution. Meaning stuff like if he doesn't know what to do in a certain field, he needs to hire to be able to acquire this capability or learn it himself. He needs to be able to fight with uncertainty. He needs to be able to hire a team himself. He needs to be able to navigate big organizations and government agencies, this kind of things, right? So I'm not talking about hardcore skills like you know how to draw in 3D, right? So that's why I disagree with you. Is my point clear?
Kind of. I'm just wondering if there's certain skills you can give searching for more general type of capability.
Then it's less skills. I mean, there are skills, but it's a lot of personality traits. And obviously they're tough to test.
Interviews are done through conversations, and you have to understand by the first or second conversation if this person is capable of doing what he's declared he's capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were looking for someone who can execute things perfectly, what would you give him to do? Would you give him to lay out how he would set up a...
Okay, we can talk about that. So now, you know, if I think the question, what's your name? Tal. So Tal is asking about how to run simulations. How can you simulate? So you have this person, you think is good, but you want to test him before you actually hire him. Why? Because we said before, failing at that part when you're just building your first team is very costly. Sometimes causes death of the project. So how would you simulate something like that? Someone said is looking for an executive director, right? How do you simulate something like that? Give me something. Give me some ideas.
CEO position is the hardest one to simulate.
Right. Write a business plan. Okay, that's something. For the business. Okay, that's interesting. Yes?
I'll give him a project.
Project.
That's something he needs to do in the city.
Okay, that's a good point. You bring in as a consultant for some time. And it's going to be a management consultant for the company. And then you're going to see how much value does it bring.
Give him time to raise a certain amount of money. That's really...
Sorry?
Give him a time frame to raise a certain amount of money.
Okay, that's hardcore, but definitely works. Just give me money, you know? Give me money and I'll hire you. Sorry? So, okay, that's good. Another thing that you can ask him, and that's something that I would ask anyone coming on my team, any team, is what do we do here? Seriously, like I've asked this almost every time I open an interview. Like they come for an interview, they schedule everything, and then let's say they come for Build Guide, I ask them, what do we do? And you can see a lot of things from there. The second thing that I do is ask them, when it's a more senior position, ask them, what do you think are the challenges? First of all, what do you believe is a good opportunity for you? You ask him to gauge, is making an investment, right? Let's say you're hiring for a CEO, executive director, or some more senior position. This kind of position, generally, when they're more seasoned people, they're aware that they're making an investment in their life to put a few years into this endeavor, and they believe in it. The question is why. So ask them why. If he's not able to tell you why and convince you why he believes that it's a good opportunity for him, he's not going to be able to do it on behalf of the business, obviously, right? Or the nonprofit, for that matter, right? A nonprofit also has to raise. If you cannot convince that your project is worth pursuing, then it's going to be total failure. So these kind of things are good. But really try to see that even during the interviews, that you're getting value. Getting value. I think a mistake to do is to have this box that you create in your head and try to fit. So is Tal really fitting this box that I have with these skills? Checkbox, check, 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 check. Like you want to see that even during the interview, that this guy is actually providing you value, something that you couldn't do or couldn't do as well without him. Clear? Okay, great. Any more questions? Say no. No more questions. If you have a doubt, say no. Again, so costly to be wrong on this. So just say no. And why is that? Because even if you employ all the techniques that we just talked about, and you do it perfectly by the book, and you have all the exams and all the simulations and everything, it's like you've only seen the tip of the iceberg, right? That's how human beings are. That's how we are. So if you have a doubt, trust your gut. One test that I have, one test that I have is asking myself, would I go for a beer with this guy? Right? It's not really trivial because you're like, oh, wait, this is work. Why should I, go out on a beer? Like, we're going to be in the office. But if you're really starting something new, you're going to have so much headache. It's going to be, closing, like doing weekends, and you never know what you're going to be asked to do. And by the way, a test that is like that in one of the companies, really good company in San Francisco, they have this test called the Sunday test. And what they do is they say, okay, look at this guy now. If you had a crisis on Sunday, so Sunday not working, right? And this guy was in the office trying to fix the problem, would you want to be there with him? By yourself in the office? If the answer is no, then obviously don't hire him, right? Because there's nothing like, really, it costs a lot to do so. So drink beers. Yes?
Hi. I wanted to ask if I have a doubt, but I have different skills that I need from this employee. Like in one aspect, he's or she's like excellent and really good, but on the other aspect, she's like not that. I mean, you said that you can teach skills but not talent. So what do you think about that?
So it's a good question. It's a tough question.
The talent is amazing or she's amazing, but at the skills are like, when all the, like about time running and stuff like this and small missions and that
Yeah.
horrible.
Okay. So before any hiring, you need a hiring plan. And the way to look at a team and building a team is like building almost like a living organism. And every function needs to have a part in this. Even if people are like versatile and switching roles and everything, you need to think about this as a drawing, right? Like I'm right now, going to build my team, and I want this abilities, I want this skills, and I want this thing, and I want this thing. When you grow at later stages, then there is another technique that comes into play, which is whatever talent I can find, I'm just bringing him in. Okay, if I have enough money and I building for the future, a talent, bring him in. What are you going to do with it? No idea. I'm going to find something, but I want to have talents in my team, right? But when you start, you need to have a living organism. When you say, okay, these are my flaws as the leader. That's what I don't know what to do, and most of the time, my role is to realize my flaws, and that's okay to have flaws. A leader shouldn't know everything, but whatever you don't know, you need to hire for this. You need to either learn this yourself or bring someone who can do it. So think about the whole plan, and you're not the only one with flaws, obviously. So you need to create this puzzle that together builds, this living organism that's going to execute well based on your goals. But when it comes to skill versus talent, definitely choose talent. Why? Because if you're doing innovation, if you're doing something really new, you're not going to know in a month what you're actually going to be doing. It could change. It could be very different. You start with a specific program, and you see that kids don't want it. They don't want it. But it's good. It's really good for you, but they don't want it, right? You know that people don't want necessarily things that are good for themselves, right? You know that, right? Even if I'm right now like building something that can really help people in an absolute manner, I can prove it, doesn't mean that people will want it. People need to want it first. So I put this thing in the market and they don't want it. I need to change. I need to find a different angle, right? So that's why talent are the people, that's what makes the people that are going to stay, and I'm going to be able to adapt to new challenges. If you only have the skills that you wanted without talent, you're screwed. Good? All right. Now, this is less trivial. Wait, how long do we have? Sorry. Half an hour? Okay, great. An hour and a half? Good. Training starts now. So that's a less trivial point, okay? Are you guys okay, by the way? You good? Okay. So training starts now means that, well, the first time, think about it. By the way, who of you have been looking for a job and sent a resume and got an interview in their life? Everybody. Excellent. Try to remind yourself when that happened. You came to a room, there was this guy interviewing you, this girl interviewing you. I'm saying that this is a time when your ears are the most open that it will ever be during the lifetime of your presence in this company organization. Because this is the time where when you come in, you're like, okay, I'm turning a chapter in my life. This is going to change my life. Like, this is a big deal, right? So you're going to be like listening with everything you can listen with, right? You're going to be so into this that, you're going to be, everything is going to be about this person and about what he tells you. And most of the time it won't reproduce itself, especially after you hired. At least not at that level. And that's why the training starts now. When we build a team, it's not only about finding the right talents, that's what we talked about. It's about actually building this living organism that is called a team. And a core function of a living organism is its culture, right? A culture. You guys know about culture of an organization? Give me examples of characteristics of cultures of organization that you like, that you appreciate. Give me examples. Sorry?
Flexible.
Flexible? What does it mean?
Means that...
flexible hours?
Yeah.
Okay.
The culture is flexible, but it's delivery based.
All right. What else?
First mistakes, you're always backed up no matter what.
Okay, so there is confidence in people having your back. Okay, that's a big part of culture. Chloe?
Out of the box.
Sorry?
Thinking out of the
Okay,
box.
that's good. What else?
Criticism.
Sorry?
Criticism.
Criticism. Open criticism. Be able to give feedback to one another. It's very important. What else?
Social,
What is social?
like whether the coworkers like talk to each other and
Okay. Yeah, great. Uh-huh. Personal development. There's an emphasis not only on the business or on the venture and the goals of the venture, but also on developing the people, right? Sometimes it's made very clear that an organization will put an emphasis on believes that developing their own people, its own people, is going to serve the business longer term. Great, excellent. What else?
Common strengths and different strengths.
Okay, what does it mean?
So, like, say if you have a team of people who are like running events.
Yep.
One person is more about environment, the other person is more about that they cater to different crowds, but when they come together, they have a similar skill set to.
Homogeneity. Okay, great, excellent. Yep. What else?
one of our things is like being a meritocracy of ideas, so it doesn't matter whose idea it is, every idea gets listened to and the best idea wins.
Good. Okay. Other things?
Independence.
Depends.
Independence.
Independence. Oh, okay, great. Okay, excellent. All the things in the culture, and you missed this, but you probably all believe in this, is standard of quality, standard of excellence, right? Not giving up, providing only the best results, right? That's something that you want to probably have as part of your culture, right? You don't want to be mediocre, right? You want to be excellent. And to be excellent, you need to think this way. You need to believe this way. You need to understand that if I give out my result, my paper, and it's half-baked, that doesn't happen. There's no such thing. I wouldn't even imagine doing that, right? I'm going to stay up an extra 2 hours, 4 hours if I need that, but I'm not going to send out something that is crap, ever, right? And when it's bad quality, I'm going to say it's bad quality. That what creates trust, that what creates many, many things, right? But that's part of the culture. Now, think about this, okay? Building a culture is very difficult because you bring many people from different backgrounds, from different positions, from different lives, and you need to have them have this core that is uniting everybody, right? Tough to do, agreed? And the way to start this is actually starting from the interview process. And believe me, most people do not realize that. But this is the time where you can get the people that are maybe going to be part of your organization. When they're the most attentive, that's where you can plant the seed of your culture. So that's why when you talk to these people, when you have someone on your team talking to these candidates, make sure that you are diligent in conveying what you are all about, and what is the culture, and how you work, how you think, and what is the dynamic of the team, and so forth. Okay? Very important. By the way, if you're good at your culture, this is going to be a winning argument to attract someone in. Okay? To think about it, it's an important part, and that's why interviews with candidates are actually very important to do well. Not only to determine whether the candidate is good or fit, but also to start planting the seed of your culture. Excellent. Question so far? Now a question to you. Do you believe that you already got tools that are actionable? Because if not, I want to give you more of those. Yes? Okay. Questions?
Yeah, this question, which I don't know if it fits with the workshop, but is there a difference? I mean, can you sort of build such a similar discourse when you talk about building a team, not on a hierarchy level? I mean, you're not hiring people, but you're just building a team, like at a horizontal level. Does it work?
You mean, for like a flag structure? What are you talking about?
You're like looking for you're building a startup. You
Yep.
need, someone which is better than you in using the web or managing the money or
Yeah.
whatever. So you're not like hiring people.
Okay.
You're above and they're.
Okay. Excellent question. Excellent question. Okay. I like this question because it gives me the opportunity to talk to you about like how to use those learnings in different environments. Yes, I'm going to get to it. So what we talked about hiring, I'm gonna cover it. So what we talked about right now about hiring, it's not only about hiring people under you. It's about getting people on your team, and that can be co-founders, that could be even a CEO above you, right? Sometimes that's a hire you need to do. That could be investors, right? Now, a team of volunteers, exactly. Okay, excellent. Absolutely. A team of volunteers is a great point. Even engaged users, engaged consumers, right? Many times when you put something out, let's say you put a program out for, I don't know, an event, right? You want people to be your evangelist, right? You want people to talk about you, to promote your cause, right? You have a Facebook page, and you want some of the people to be very engaged and love what you do, right? Because they're going to be your amplification method, right? You are one person or one small organization that nobody cares about, but when you have people around you that are deeply involved and passionate about what you do, even if they don't get money, they're not considered volunteers, they're nothing, but you actually hire them and make them part of your cause and your evangelists and so forth. Why? It's important. How? In such a way that you give them meaning. Give them meaning to do so, okay? How do you give them meaning? We talked about that. You attract them. You make them feel that this is a cause that is worth working for. There's a great environment. It's going to give me a possibility of a purpose for what I'm doing. And really like to give you even a stronger emphasis on giving a meaning to people, which works with investors, with partners, with deals with other organizations or companies. We work with volunteers and evangelists. You need to think about what actually people want. And ultimately, people, us, we want to live forever. We want to live forever. We want to have a meaning that will leave a mark to the world. We want to have meaning to our existence. And the best way to have meaning to our existence is to do something special. Give me the chance to do something special. I'm going to do things for you. You know, one of the biggest mistakes of people raising money is asking for money. When you come to a meeting with an investor, and you're like scared and you're like shaking and everything, and you're like, and generally the state of mind that you're in when you go into this kind of meeting, you're like, oh my God, my project is going to be amazing, but some people said, like many people said, no, I really need this check. So what you see is not the people in the table, you see the check. And you're like, whatever it takes for this guy to say yes, right? If you've been raising, you've probably been in this situation, because everybody has been. But that's the wrong approach. That's the failing approach. Because the people who have the money, they don't want to give money. They don't want to think about money. They don't have this problem anymore, many times. What they want is meaning. What they want is doing something right, or something they want to do. What they want is getting out of the boredom, right? I do many meetings with banks, big banks in the US, right? And is anyone a banker here? Okay, good. So, let me tell you the truth about meetings with banks, okay? These people get a high salary, much more, like triple, quadruple of what most people make in of our team. They're much more educated. It's not very difficult, never went to college. But they're much more educated. They have these nice suits, like $2,000 suit, and you come in with like startup t-shirt. And when you talk about your stuff, you can tell they're bored in general. Like, it's like 9 to 5. It's like, it's work, right? And what did they think about? Think about their mortgage, right? That's what they think about. Why would I take risk to do something new if that's going to risk my job, right? There are more chances for me to screw with my life by doing what you're talking about, by moving forward with this. But the thing is that you need to connect at a very different level. You need to connect with the meaning. You need to tell him why. You need to tell the why, even before you talk about the how or the what, okay? That's a little bit what Apple did, by the way. You know this company, Apple, right? You remember this company, Microsoft and IBM, right? There is a great TED talk, by the way, from Simon Sinek that talks about that. It gives exactly this example, which is, if you remember the IBM days or the Microsoft days, it was all about specs, about the what and the how. This is the processor and this, gigabyte of RAM and all this stuff that we don't understand. It was all about that. Then the Apple products came out. And the reason to get those products was why? To think different. The whole homepage was think different. Not about the product, not about what it does. Your iPhone you have in your pocket. You have any idea what's the processor that is running this phone? You have no idea, right? It's even like a strange question today. 10 years ago, it was like, duh, of course that's what we talk about. I buy this computer because it's more powerful, because it has a better processor. Today, it's like an insult. You wouldn't even put this on a web page at Apple. They don't even say it. This is like A6, they have these like branding names that nobody reads in like gray font. But this is the thing, because that's not why I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something because I want to think different. I want to feel special. I'm going to feel innovative. If I'm going to feel innovative, if I'm going to feel special, that's how I can have a shot at living forever. Right? Just one second, I want to connect this back to how to get people. So when I'm in this meeting with these nice bankers that are really haven't slept enough apparently, and they're very, very bored, you can tell that when you're talking about the why, when you're telling them what is the right thing to do in the world, then you can see that, oh, this guy connected. Now he has a reason to listen. Now this is something that, this is a person that can turn into your champion. Right? Please. Please.
My wife has 2 questions.
Yep.
First of all, sometimes we want to hire someone who has motivation for me about hiring people or choosing people for jobs that maybe aren't that interesting and are paperwork and logistics. And how do we create meaning? And what if people aren't looking for meaning? They're looking to do work. How do we deal with those kind of individuals that not necessarily won't do a good job, but maybe a little bit of a different approach than what you mentioned?
Right.
And the second thing is trust. I think that's something that's really important for me. How would you suggest to identify a person that you can trust, that you can know that you can count on? Is there a question you would ask? Are there situations that you know, simulations?
Wow, tough question. Okay, great. Thank you for that. So should I repeat the question? Okay. So the first question was, I'm hiring a position for dirty work, like not a good position, like a very, very junior position, right? Like The worst job, okay, the worst job. But you know what, I need to hire this person. What can I do? So I can talk all I want about, infusing this amazing dreams and like all this stuff, but ultimately you're going to be, I don't know, organizing papers in a storage room with no light in the basement. It's very tough, but really, I think here comes the second part of the things I wanted to talk about, which is how to build a team. And that goes into transparency, responsibility, and happiness. I think the three more important things. The one thing you want to give to this person and to anyone in the team is transparency. Yes, this job kind of sucks. Honestly, it does, okay? Our mission is amazing. And what we're trying to do is the reason why you should wake up in the morning. But yeah, this job sucks. And I'm not going to try to hide it because you're going to think I'm an idiot and you're not going to trust me, okay? That's the reverse question that you ask. You're not going to trust your leader if I'm telling you that organizing these papers is the most enjoyable thing. I don't understand why you're not having fun doing this. So be transparent, but also be transparent about what it leads to, the results of your work, right? Transparency, exactly like in a relationship, by the way, is only about telling the truth or not telling lies, right? What's transparency really about? It's about making a purposeful effort to tell the truth and to deliver the message that should be delivered, right? And this is the challenge of transparency. Stay with me on this because it's an important point. Transparency is not only about telling the truth, it's about giving out the right messages. And that's why in every organization, every project, if you have a room and you have more than one person, even if you're by yourself, there's one trick you should do. Write your goals on the wall. It sounds super easy, by the way. It is not, because goals change. And sometimes it's difficult to really kind of formalize in a few words. But the best thing you can do towards transparency is make sure that people understand why they're doing what they're doing. You need to do it for yourself, and sometimes we don't, by the way. A very easy mistake is to work for the sake of work, right? That happens many times, many times. So write your goal, be transparent, and back to this dirty job, if you're transparent about this and about their opportunity for growth, then that's good. But be transparent about what you're doing, what impact does it give. I have another technique I can give you. We're going to run out of time soon, so I'm going to limit the number of tips, but one that I think is relevant, and I don't think it is done at all in the nonprofit world. So I have 20 people in an office. Most of them do different things. I have like marketing and design and product managers and researchers and analysts and all this kind of stuff. Okay? They do very different things. They have different backgrounds and different skills. Nevertheless, at 9:30 a.m. every morning since the inception of the company, we are all standing in a circle, all of us. And every one of the team members, each and every one is saying, what did I achieve yesterday, what I'm committing to achieve today, and if there is any problem that people should know about. Every day, 9:30 a.m. If you don't believe me, come to my office next week. It's on Rothschild Boulevard in Tel Aviv. It's kind of cool. And the reason why we do this is also create this transparency among the team, to create a common language that will always stay, and to focus not only on the exact task and the work, but on the meaning of this work. Because if I'm like this crazy scientist that does all this math stuff that nobody understands about, when I talk in this round, in this circle, I cannot talk about the specifics of the formula that I wrote, because nobody would understand it, and honestly nobody cares. What I need to talk about is what did my work actually impacted? What changed based on my work? And by taking these few minutes of focusing on this helps both the person talking and everybody else. Okay? Sorry? Work. Just work. Yeah. For not work stuff, there are other stuff that maybe I can talk about after this presentation. Okay. Second thing, responsibility. Okay? Responsibility means giving responsibility. And it's tough because leaders, many times, they tend to be all about themselves, and they want everything to be perfect, and that's great. And it's very difficult to trust other people to do things for you. It's difficult. Because, of course, if I would do it myself, especially Israelis, it would be the best, right? It's very difficult to say, okay, this person maybe knows better, or even if he doesn't know better, they're in charge of it. Give them the responsibility. Management technique, by the way, that is kind of by the book, but still but very worth knowing, is that there are two things. That there are two questions that you can ask all the people on the team that would give you a pretty good rate of how good your organization is doing. One is, do you know what are your goals? If you ask this question to everyone, okay, and you count, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And the second question you ask is, do you have clarity of decision? What are the decisions you're in charge and in right of making? Ask these two questions to all your team and count. There's been a study that's shown that if you have above 70%, you see that all the top companies are really well performing. Under this, you see struggling companies. Because giving responsibility is a very difficult task for a leader, making it clear what are your goals and what you're in charge of making decisions for. Okay? It's very easy to fall into the trap of the one leader making all the decisions for everybody and just like spreading tasks like you would do for robots. Okay? Is that clear? Excellent. And the last point, and I will end with that, is happiness. Happiness is very important because, even when you think about how to build your compensation package, or even when you don't have compensation package, you cannot give money to people because you don't have money yet, and you're trying to convince them to work for your cause. Ultimately, what you think about, besides the meaning, because you're not always like looking ahead in the future and what change you're going to make in the world, is happiness. Like, seriously. And it starts with things like, do I have toilet paper in the bathroom? Really? Or is there light in the room, in the room when I'm working? Right? Is it fun? Is it social? All this stuff. They matter a lot. The army, in intelligence, they have a very big problem of retaining talent. And it's not only because they don't have the money to pay. A lot of people that are in the intelligence in Israel, they can make seriously, like 4 times what they're making in the army in any company in the high tech, and everybody wants to hire them. That's how it works. But I say it's not the only reason why they're leaving. I think it's the simple things like, now you're 24 years old, 25 years old, you spend a lot of time in the army, and you just don't have the energy anymore to come to the base and not have a parking spot. And that's what bothers you. Right? That's what bothers you in the morning. You're like, I'm not 18 years old anymore, and seriously, I don't have the energy for that. Or come to the bathroom and there's no light in the bathroom. Like, come on, And it's stupid. It's very stupid, but that's the way we work. I mean, think about this on yourself. What pisses us off? How many times do we actually think about our salary? Not all the time. Well, we think about it, we need to pay our bills, but we don't think about it all the time. It's the minor stuff. Like, if there isn't AC air conditioning in the room, I'm going to go crazy today. It doesn't matter how much I make. So think about the stuff, because the happiness comes in little things, and it's with your full attention to those details that you're going to be able to understand people, attract talents, bring the best people to create this team that will be fighting for you, fighting with you, and retain this team so that you'll be able to solve any challenge that is thrown your way. That's it, guys. Thank you. We have I'm kind of hungry, so we only have 2 minutes for questions. 26 and 2 days. To be very precise. You don't remember? They brought me to be the first one to do this noise and movement. Anyway, yeah. It was a good birthday. When I was 23. It's just first day out of the army. I was there for 5 years.
How many people work with you?
With me? Or with 22 people in the company, the number of people who work with is endless because we have many partners and many things.
Exactly how many people?
I can't count. I really can't count. I can tell you we have 12 investors, for example. 12 investors. It's a lot of people. And that's also, we call this the extended family, right?
That's not part of your team.
They're not part of my team, but they're part of our team in a way. Oh, wow. That's an amazing question. Amazing question. So I had many, many screw-ups. The biggest, it would take me a little bit of time to think about it, but there's this one thing. I made the mistake that I told you not to make. There was this guy that I personally really, really liked. He was a really cool guy. And he came from a consulting company, so he knew all these things. He had a lot of skills, right? He's been very experienced and nice guy, crazy skills. And I wanted him. I thought that this would really complete our team. I wanted to create this mix, and I thought he would really complete our team. And what I failed to look at is whether it was a perfect fit, not only for the company, but also for him. And that's something I should have done better. Maybe I couldn't have done, but I should have tried much more. I can't go into the details because they're personal, but the idea here is that he really wanted to do this, but his life situation and family situation and so forth, like working far from his office, from his home, sorry, wasn't really practical for him. And after some time, he was like, look, I love working here, but I can't. Like, I can't for my family, for my personal life. And I shouldn't have had a red flag for that. I should have known that before, maybe, or tried. And that's why I think it's a good example in the sense that we're not hiring for positions, and we're not hiring for skill set, and we're not passing through a resume through a machine. We're hiring people. Awesome, guys. Thank you very much.